Wipe my head. Sure, it can block the sun and the rain, you know. But why do we have to be so smart? Why do they always expect us, everybody, to be smart, top of the class, and like Democrats will try to kick me off of talking or anything if or writing if they see one comma missing. I missed a comma, a punctuation mark somewhere, accidentally, or maybe the typewriter misspelled a word, changed it after I spelled it right. You know, why are they so picky about how smart we are? Why did they want uh, Mr. Bush, President Bush, kicked out of office for having a memory pause like I just had, and saying he's not smart enough to be president? Why did they do that to him? Why did they why do they always say somebody's not smart enough, especially in the Republican Party? And now, of course, they threw those rules away for somebody who's aging and Biden and has memory pauses a lot. So now, on that note, I'll say, of course, Biden has a team he works with. He's not by himself. He has a team. He knows what he's doing. He's just has to think it over, you know. But he knows the business. However, it hurts your speech more, when you can't remember things. And I'm not a speaker. Maybe I'll get better at it. I'm new at it. I'm an analyst. I analyze things a lot, observe. I'm a spiritual thinker, and I look for truth. I'm a truth seeker, and I've been able to write things down, go back to it. So I'm learning how to speak, but I'm not a natural speaker. So I'm not smart in that way. But we don't see. Here's a problem. Problem is we have some of the best speakers, the quickest thinkers, and all that in the world in TV today. And I won't say most, but a lot, at least half, at least the Democrat side of media, they're all smart liars, and that's what we have. We're not getting truth. We're not getting reality. We're actually they're telling lies that get people killed. They're telling lies that's actually stealing our freedom. That's allowing murderers in our country, like the ones that are supporting Hamas right now. Some of those might have been homegrown right here, but they've come in the country and they're applauding the fact that Hamas chopped off babies' heads, pretending like, oh, they didn't do that. And then they're playing victim and calling us Islamophobes. That's going to be another video about the word Islamophobe, what they do with that word. So I don't want this to be long. I just, I purposely wore this hat for the video because I said, why do we always have to be smart and sharp about everything? You need every perspective, and it doesn't matter if I'm not the quickest witted, if I can't remember everything. Guess what? I'm a person who studied more psychological warfare than most, recognize psychological warfare, and this comes with lies. It's all the lies that Democrats put on us. I mean, look at psychological warfare, for example. They call Republicans racist. They act like they're the party responsible for slavery, and it's completely false. It's the other way around. It's the exact opposite. And so they've used black people to support the Democrat lies. Some of them don't know what they're doing, but the truth is, and that because they think they play the game like all of them came from slavery. No, they didn't. They didn't all come from slavery. A lot of them. So the ones that are playing into that lie on purpose, the conspirators, are lead Islamic blacks. It's Islamic blacks, and so that's an antichrist religion. You have to understand. We always talk about antichrist and all that. Mormonism is an antichrist. You could call it cult or false religion. You could call Jehovah's Witnesses an antichrist, cult or false religion. And Islam, you could call either a cult or false religion. That's assuming Christ is the only real religions represent Christ. So probably the lead antichrist religion is Islam. That's the biggest one. And so they're calling people, I guess I'll touch on this here. They call people Islamophobes because if you don't support the religion, you have a choice not to believe the lie if you don't want to, or to consider it a lie. Islam a lie, and not it's not really a religion. It doesn't have a God. It doesn't have any proof of God, and so and they're going to call you Islamophobe for that. That's not a phobia. That's not a fear. That's confidence that you think that Jesus is real and true, and He proved His power. He proved His love on the cross. He proved His power when He rose from the dead, which made His forgiveness on the cross effective, made it real, made it real right there. When you after if He didn't rise from the dead, His forgiveness was kind of irrelevant. But He loved and forgave on the cross when people weren't sure He could rise from the dead, right? But then He did rise from the dead. Not only that, He stayed on earth for people to witness 30-something days, right? And see, I forget numbers. It's a perfect exact numbers. That's hard for me to do. But guess what? I was creative enough to bring up the topic. I'm one of the first I've heard do that in the last few years. Now it's becoming more popular, and nobody's going to ever realize that I might be the person that really augmented it. Maybe I'm sure other people have brought it up, but I augmented it. I've stuck with keep bringing it up. I keep bringing it up, because I've seen the importance of it, right? Because today's religion always working on holy. Nothing wrong with working on holiness, but we're always working on holiness, and maybe that's really good actually. But I know it's good. I'm not saying, but the fact is, a lot of times they've gone almost to the extreme of only allowing certain people to talk about Christ that have a perfect reputation and all that kind of stuff, and that's not good because we've stopped evangelizing. We've consented to the Democrats against freedom of speech by trying never to offend anybody. And now look who's taken over. We're not allowed to offend false religion by telling the truth. And they're using that, the government, the corrupt government side of government, the Democrat side particularly. It's not just them now, because you got people who support the Republican Party that seem good, and they may be on purpose doing it, but they may have just been brainwashed and thought we can't. You can believe whatever religion you want to believe. Well, I agree. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but you're not going to Christ's heaven if you don't denounce all other religions and support Christ as God and your personal Savior. You're not going to Christ's heaven, and none of those other religions have any evidence of any way to heaven, of any God that has power over heaven and life and death. There's no evidence of any other God besides Christ. That's just a fact, and that we should be allowed by now. We should have been educated to know that, but they've blocked the education, and the Christian community in general, overall, has gotten caught up in trying to do miracles or that they can't do most of the time, right? And then God already did His miracles back in the day, His main miracles to show who He was. That's what they were about. I mean, this world is about we're all gonna die. Take care of your body. Don't abuse your body and be a glutton and stuff, and not battle that. It's a battle. I mean, but don't not battle gluttony and pray for God to heal your body. I'm not saying you can still pray for it, but understand that you're praying for Him to heal it while you keep tearing it up. Don't keep tearing your body up while you're praying for God. It's not going to work. But if you take care of your body and trust the facts of calories in, too many calories in, your body can't get rid of them all. They turn to fat. So your body can't process everything. So if you're taking too many calories in, which it's a battle for me, you're taking, right now I'm getting better hold of it than I've had in a while. But you're taking too many calories in, and you got fatty cysts that can turn to cancer, stuff like that. Your body can't get rid of those fatty cysts. But if you lower your calories and your sugar, because they eat off of sugar, especially the processed sugar. So you can, I still do some honey and stuff like that, but I may cut back on that even more. I'll try to. So, or I may at some point decide to cut all that off. I may have that after practicing. You have to practice. You get. So I forgot about the smart topic. I'll get right back to it. This won't be long. Hopefully 15 minutes. Hopefully. I can't promise. So But your body, if you're processing too much food, your body's having to process that food, so it can't start getting rid of the cysts, fatty cysts, for example. All right, so you can't work on other things, even your injury ankle. Obviously, your ankles heal naturally, but it might probably heals faster if you're not overeating and stuff. If you're not eating too much sugars and stuff, or foods that don't have fiber, foods that have been processed, stuff your body has to get rid of that it can't use. You're eating stuff your body can't use, and so it has to get rid of all of it instead of use part of it and get rid of the extra. So if you're eating something good, it still has to get rid of stuff, but it uses part of it. See, uses what you need and gets rid of it. You're doing too much of that, your body can't work on other stuff not at a fast rate. And when it comes to fatty cysts, it may not work on that at all, most at all. Except a little bit between meals. So, and then at certain meals you do, when you eat the bad stuff, it can't get rid of it, so it goes to one of those fatty cysts. That's one of the best examples that makes sensible examples I can think of. Love this hat. It's not beautiful from this angle, but it looks pretty cool from this side and this side. So, yeah, I mean, you can see the purpose. Now, I don't know if it's a woman's or man's hat, but right now it's a man's hat. So, you got, let's see. So why do we have to be smart? College. I don't agree with the college system. I never did. The way it's done. Look, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not college material. Going to college was depressing for me because I'm going in there not thinking I'll ever pass. I'm supposed to be smart. I didn't think I could find a proper mate in college because they're all there to try to find the smartest guy or whatever. That wasn't me. So, and so the good students, I knew what's right and wrong. I knew that, some of those things don't matter, I guess, but, and then you weigh, there is some stories in the Old Testament where, when it comes to marriage and the people who believe in marriage like I do, natural marriage, you have, the story, I forget who it was and what. All right, I'm not going to go into that. I can think hard and remember, but I'm not taking time. So, but there's a guy who I think worked 7 years. So it goes by the Father's law. There's no specific law God gives for how you're supposed to prove you're good enough for the woman, right? According to a father's value. So each father has a different rule, But this guy had him work 7 years for the father. He worked 7 years for the father in the farm before he could marry the daughter, right? It was some kind of story like that. So granted, it's okay to have those qualifications and all, but the Bible says if you can't contain yourself or stay free from fornication, to get married. You don't have to have those qualities. The point is you want to be pure before God and clean before God. And if you can control and you don't have a desire to get married and you don't have the desire and you're not, which sometimes a desire and longing and loneliness can tempt somebody to, see who's around, and then you can give into lust by just shopping, I guess you could call it, for shopping for the proper mate. You can qualify giving into lust. So, but if you don't have that issue, if that's not a big issue for you and you're happy to be alone, then Paul says he'd rather you stay alone so you can give more time to God. That's the point. So, but if not, this is 1 Corinthians 7. If not, you do, you get married. To be pure, to keep yourself from sinning and fornicating. So, because it's okay within marriage to have romantic relations, right? So but although it's for the purpose of reproduction, it's also for the purpose of God created Eve to be a helpmate to Adam, for them both to be a helpmate to each other. So the way when people talk about who's supposed to have this role or that role, it's not. That's kind of, some of that falls into place because of childbearing and stuff. And also a man can do heavier work typically. And so it's not, that's another subject, but I'll give you a briefing on that from my perspective, from a well thought out perspective. We overplay a lot of that stuff, but so on the other hand of waiting 7 years for a man, the father that made the son work 7 years before he could marry the daughter, that'd be hard for me, man. I'm like, well, I already know who she is. We've gotten to know each other. What if I'm dead in 7 years? But anyway, but you don't have to have that standard. See, so but college to me didn't make sense because you go in debt and you want to start investing right away. In today's world, today's a little different world, right? It didn't make sense because I believed in building houses. Everybody's worried about money, money, money. I'm thinking if I just learned how to build a house and start building houses, I just build somebody a house. Well, I worry about money all the time. That'll bring money, and I'll build my mom a house. I'll build homeless people a house, and I'll be qualified to marry because I've already got my finances right. So that didn't work out for me. I went to college, and was a musician, and I wanted to do Christian music, and but so some people would question, well, why didn't you take the degree for carpentry degree or whatever? Well, that's in a trade school, but it's not in a college, and I went to a religious college, and I like that part of it. But there's some misconceptions. I don't think college is so great like we do. And so what we do with the religious college, you're sitting there trying to protect kids like they're kids. They're not quite kids anymore, but you're protecting their innocence still and all this, keep them sheltered and all. But they're learning good stuff. You see what they've done in these other secular colleges. They've used them to ruin our country, to take away freedom, to teach people how to be intellectual terrorists. And basically they've gone that far with it, further than we thought. So they're supporting Hamas and playing mind games like the same way Black Lives Matter did, with having a murderer and thief attack the police and then acting like the police attacked them. Right? That's what they did. I mean, that's bottom line. Sometimes it happens the other way around, but it's mostly like that. And that's the cases we saw. It was them attacking the police, fighting with the police on almost every case, right? So, and then they pretend like it's the other way around. And so they've used that same tactic. That's apparently it's been an Islamic group because they're using that tactic. They attacked Israel big time. I mean, big time terror attack. It's too obvious. I don't think as many people are falling for it, but they're doing the loud protesting to trick people into thinking it's the other way around. And they've already taught people, the Democrat media has taught people not to trust the news. The right news. The news that tells the truth most of the time. Fox News. They'll give you the real news pretty much. Now, there's a lot of people on Fox News who will say, not contest religion. Not act like it's okay, it doesn't matter what religion you do. And they're completely wrong. And they could be tricksters or they could be dumb, basically. So ignorant, really. So they may not, but they're not, if they believe that, they're not going to heaven, not Christ's heaven. You have to denounce other religions to go to Christ's heaven. So they're not going to Christ's heaven. So where else is there to go? Nowhere near God. Not Christ's God, not the real God, the only real proven God. The next life, you're not going anywhere near God. And that's misery in itself, being separated from God, because guess what? I'm talking to you because God said, love your neighbor. I'm talking sense, and some people hate sense. They hate the attempt. They hate the fact that I'm not getting every letter punctuated properly, that I'm off the subject a little bit. But I got off the subject. I'm clear-headed enough today to know that I got off the subject because I was telling you that I felt inadequate for college. It made me feel bad. College made me feel bad because I couldn't pass certain classes I could pass with ease. But other classes I couldn't pass no matter how hard I tried, such as reading comprehension. And I like to say that the teachers, like in literature class, so in studying history, or a book, if they have you read 3 chapters and they say it, and I had some classes like this where they say, read 3 chapters, and then they just pick out one sentence, fill in the blank from somewhere in the middle of those 3 chapters. And to me, which sometimes they picked out irrelevant points. So I like to say, I thought I understood that story well, but they asked the wrong questions. That's all, and in some cases, but a lot of people would always pass those and I wouldn't, the literature test. So, but on the other hand, I had a teacher, he knew I struggled with literature tests and stuff and punctuation somewhat. But then he said I wrote the most interesting research paper he's ever read about Edgar Allan Poe. And so I read those literature books. Some of them I'm just daydreaming, can't get into it. That's part of my problem. But certain stories I got into, and I'm like, man, I was into this, but I'm seeing different parts of the story that appealed to me than other people, and whatever the questions were. So I'm thinking, I'm going to pass this test. I understood this story. I was into it. And I still didn't pass it. That's literature. I don't know how I didn't pass that, but except that they didn't ask the questions that appealed to me that I noticed in the story, right? And I don't have a good memory, literally, for it. So, because when I read history, I got to study 4 hours for history class all the time. You know, it was a struggle. So I'm doing this in college, losing money, you know, instead of making money and wanting to be married, be a guy that gets married, and that's not the way I saw myself qualifying to be married. I saw gambling that I'll get a degree and then I can claim that I'm better than everybody else at a certain job all of a sudden because I got a degree with no experience. You know, I don't understand that. It's not totally good, but I do think that, you know, college I did learn what I could from it. I took what I could, enjoyed it. Some things I did learn, and then I had fun with it best I could. But as far as uh, my plans to get married and stuff, it just kind of ruined that for me because it didn't make sense from that standpoint. So, I do think you need to have a good job to get married and all that, and have income. And I think, frankly, I would be rich if I had built houses and learned how to do that, or I'd be dead from falling off the roof. So who knows? I'm still doing stuff I wanted to do way back then. But so I'll say I changed my major for music because I was ran into a situation where I was sexually assaulted. I had saved my first kiss for marriage, and I wasn't at the college; it was in the city. But I ran into the situation where I was sexually assaulted and felt I wasn't, based on, you know, the religious stuff I've learned and all. I felt unqualified to be on stage or to be ordained. I didn't understand it all back then. I would say maybe to be ordained, at least for a time. And so I let that get to me, and I've had a lot of struggles since then. Worse struggles with that and all dating and all that life stuff. So you have that kind of got me interested into some of the problems in society. That's kind of what started. I'll just put it at that. So I have a different perspective. That affected my perspective. You know, I don't look back at that and hate it, actually. I mean, I do in some ways, but I don't look back at it and hate it because that's what got me involved in studying the segregation of society. That's what got me interested in fixing the problems of the world the laws, the bad laws, the crooked laws, the laws that are just misinterpreted, the laws that are misconceived, and all those kind of things to help protect more people from that happening, or at least to help them recover from those things and understand Christ's view and not just the religious view, because the religious view is often not Christ's view, right? So I felt rejected by religion, and particularly because of college and all these steps you're supposed to take to qualify, have a good reputation. I'm like, okay, I had a good reputation, but it was stolen from me. So that's the effect. It didn't bother me what happened to me, this sexual assault the first time, but I had saved my first kiss for marriage. It's bothered me from the sense that I worked hard to save that. I mean, I turned down a lot of chances to do that stuff, right? And so at times I thought, I should have just went ahead and, so if somebody I thought was moving too fast physically, I turned down for a relationship, I should have just went ahead and dated that person. I would have been better off than running into the situation I did. But who's to say I wouldn't have run into it? I wouldn't have run into it like if I had a girlfriend, I'll say. But like I was open to be kind to people, strangers and stuff. I've always been like that. So, but if I had a girlfriend, this was a woman, older woman. So if I had a girlfriend, I would have said, I better not talk to this lady. But I didn't. So I'm like, she asked for help and I helped her, right? So you have, anyhow, so you have, let's see. Da, da, da. See, that's why I don't speak. So I'm not smart. But I come across subjects. I've presented tons of subjects as a person who's not very smart, because I'm a sincere person. But I'm sincere in believing in God. I am a sincere person. I like that, all for jokes and all that. I'm not going to do pranks that are going to give you a heart attack or anything. I'm not a prankster. But I mean, I've enjoyed some pranks here and there, watching them, think they're funny, and I think most of them are overboard, right? Or annoying because people have a busy schedule a lot of times. So if you're gonna interrupt my schedule, let's let it be something that you can be a joke, but not a prank, or it can be something serious, ideally. But I wouldn't be the worst sport maybe sometimes about being pranked. However, you have that threw me off my. So I better watch these rabbit trails. So you got I can't believe it's 25 minutes. You have so I'm not the smartest, but I present tons of subjects, really tons. I like because I'm a thinker. I watch other stuff and I realize they missed this point, they missed that point on the news. So I learn from them a lot, and then I also learn what they miss and then what they miss on purpose because they're scared of the Democrats. They're scared of getting their show taken off the air because the dictator Democrats will take them off the air. Try to. That battle's gotten. They've lost that battle. Democrats have somewhat lost that battle, but in social media, they block my videos so people can't see them, stuff like that. Like I've gotten some videos, I've had views like one video in 3 days. First 3 days, I had 5,700 views, and that was informing people about Trump paying $200 billion in reparations to Black Americans, and nobody knows about it, and they don't talk about it. And I did it in a sarcastic way, acting like I should be the one jealous. I did that. So the first 2 or 3 days, it kicks off 5,700 views. Well, naturally, if you get one that has that many views, it's going to continue to be seen by more people. But that's a month ago, maybe. And I still have 5,700 views. They haven't passed it along. So they somehow blocked it from being seen anymore. They do that with a lot of stuff. And a lot of, now since then, a lot of the videos I do, I get 0 views. So they're not letting any of them be seen. And that's the 15-second ones. That's the 15-second ones. So, I understand that stuff. I see that stuff. I'm smart enough to see that stuff, right? So I don't even have to be smart. I'm interrogative enough. What's the word? Inquisitive enough to see that stuff. I'm philosophical enough to recognize that it's important. It's an important thing, but I don't give up. Some people might give up or whatever. I just keep going. I try to get along. I don't complain too much. You should be able to complain and say this isn't fair, and it's actually wrong because they shouldn't block truth. They should block. They shouldn't allow lies to go on like they've done with Trump. That's evil, and it's stealing. It's stealing. They're stealing votes. They're stealing media time. They're stealing a lot of stuff. They're stealing the truth. They're allowing for the thieves who do cheat in elections to feel empowered to do it the way they do it. So they're doing a lot of things. They've messed up. They've tried to go overtime, and because Trump built a wall to protect our country, they're trying to make sure they get double the trouble. And so if they're inviting good people in, that's fine, but they're not inviting the good people. Some of them are going to be good. I don't know. They do control who comes, because they're connected to the cartel through the cartels. So I'm hoping that a lot of the people that fled Venezuela are looking for freedom. So, but guarantee it, obviously the people who came here to hate on Israel weren't coming here for freedom. They're coming here to manipulate the whole system to destroy freedom worldwide. All right. So the point is, I'm not the smartest. So I'll sum it up with that. I won't go too deep into analyzing all this. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm going to tell you that. And some people go, yes, you are. Yes, you are. They try to do the American Idol thing. I know who I am. I know I went to high school. I went to college, unfortunately, full time. I won't say unfortunately, but full time. I don't think I wanted to build houses. And some people say, why don't you do it now? Well, I mean, that's kind of passed me by. I'd rather be the designer and help build houses. I've helped build some houses, but I don't, but, as far as I want to get a lot more done. I want to be the one to plan building 1 million houses. And I can't build 1 million houses by myself. I want to be the one to help plan that. Still, I hope to do something like that in the future. I've already put out designs for the government to build houses. I don't know if they ever used them much, but I've put out ideas to make circular hallways and small houses so people can walk in the wintertime in circles in the house and get exercise. Pretty good idea. But there's little ideas like that and simple designs for building houses. We kind of complicate with some of the designs we have. I think we complicate things a lot of times, but you also can give yourself efficiency plus walking space. So, and anyhow, so I believe in, I've just seen how many lives there are, and I'm busy always chasing lives with my spirit when I have a chance to. So, and I like to do multiple things, multiple tasks, ideas, and jobs. I like doing that. And so, but as far as, so when I, in houses, so I had the idea of building houses, and it was a right perspective for me, I think. But it was just the pressure of culture. So I'm not my family alone. I didn't contest my family on, they wanted me to go to college. I brought it up real briefly. I didn't really contest them, so they wouldn't even almost remember or notice that I didn't want to. I didn't really want to make a big deal about it. I kind of mentioned it, but I wanted to make money. And so for me, I think the right way to do college, and for a lot of other people too, because guess what? I would have bought a house, made money, and bought a cheap house. Back then, it was safe to do that. Today, anywhere you buy a cheap house, you're dodging bullets almost, right? But back then, if more people in my bracket would have done part-time college, so where pay as I go, pay when I have the money for another class. That's the way that would have worked for me. Or a trade school. I would have liked a trade school. But I just didn't know enough to be confident in that back then. I just knew I didn't trust that system. Not for me, because I'm a struggling type of student. I did my best for the most part, except when I was dating at one point. Not that, it was that, and had some depression after the assault. No, but I didn't mean to go that long and explain, but I'm just giving you examples here. The point is analysis does take a lot, and I'm analyzing. I'm trying to support my points and show why I think about these things the way I do. And so I got off a little bit on the subject, but those are supportive points, believe it or not. But so I believe in paying, having build houses. I would have loved to build houses, and then maybe for a year make money, and before I decided how much class I wanted to take and what class. And then I thought I would have had a better perspective by that time too, by the way. So, and then, but that's in 1990. So it's different now. They do have more courses for that kind of stuff. I don't know what you call it, carpentry. See, I don't remember the names of all these degrees. I'm not built for that. My mind's not built for it. But I am creative. Everybody doesn't have to be that smart. So I'm not saying vote for Biden again. But no, but Biden, the thing about Biden is he's doing what he knows to do. That's to destroy freedom and go for the New World Order and stuff like that. He's doing that stuff. He's succeeding somewhat. It's crooked because they're trying to have Trump put in jail. And they're calling Trump a cult. So I recognize these things. I am good at discerning things. And I figure these things out very better than most people, maybe because I have the right formula I got God in me. I truly believe in God. And I used to try to be spiritual, think and feel it and all that. And I did feel some of that, but some of that's emotion. But now I'm just, it is what it is. He proved he's God. I simplify it. And I'm going to stand by that. And I actually realize I escape a lot of traps by doing that. Psychological warfare traps, even the ones that are done by accident. The people play psychological warfare on purpose. Some of them don't realize they're following lies. So, or a misconception. Some of the ones that support all religions and won't contest a religion, but kind of lean Christian, but won't say it. They think they're doing the right thing according to politics. They're doing the wrong thing. They're doing the wrong thing because it's freedom of religion, not freedom of false religion. Now, people have ignored that. I've had that quote a long time ago. But I'm going to have to shorten this and not explain that much further because it's a long video. But I'll try to close out here and just say a little bit more about the smart thing. It's not fair that they picked on George Bush the way they did, but then they qualified Biden. So Biden clearly has some dementia traits going on. Now I don't know how much, because you see of course you see clips of where he's lapsed or messed up or whatever, and then sometimes he's pretty sharp, but not as sharp as he used to be. So, but so there's somebody trying to benefit from that. As a matter of fact, Kamala Harris, no, he's going to be the president. He's doing good. He's going to win next time. Well, she wants him to win because he will lose his place in office. She wants the whole term. She'll become president next term, and she wants the whole term. But it's been obvious to me she supported Hamas way too much. She's not defended Israel like she should. So same, and any Democrat's going to do that, and some are worse than others. Though she may be worse than Biden as far as not protecting Israel and stuff. So seems like she might be. And the thing is, you got to know, they always try to act like Biden. Well, Biden might not end up being the candidate either. The one reason they want him to be is because Kamala Harris will become president next term if he has to step down. And he's going to be older than he is now next term. So that's why she wants to keep him in office, because he can win, she thinks, with her help, I guess. I don't know. That's from my view. That's my analysis of that. But he might not run at all. They may have that one guy, Newsom. He might run. He seems kind of sharp, but the problem is he's still got Democrat views. So you're still going to have. So people are saying if you do Biden again, you're going to have 10 million illegal undocumented immigrants coming in, and 2 million of those we already know were probably terrorists. 2 million. And really, he probably have more next time. But so will Newsom. So will any Democrat. Because you can't be Antichrist. How are they? The problem is, if you're Antichrist, you're letting Antichrist people in. You're trying to make sure you get the memo to the right people who are Antichrist to come across. Because it takes a lot of work to hike across there and stuff. That's work, man. I've done the hikes before, similar hikes. So this planning, you got to have some money. Some of them are funded. They're funding people. They got George Soros funding those type of people. The same ones that are marching with and doing the protests. He funded the Palestinian Hamas supporters. So I don't have a problem with the Palestinians who are not Hamas supporters, but these people marching at the colleges, they're supporting Hamas and lying and acting like Israel attacked them. Hamas attacked Israel. They went to a party and attacked all these innocent people. An outdoor big party in a park, huge park. Chopped babies' heads off, and for no reason. So, and they're lying too and acting like Israel's their land. No, the guy, I guess they're skewing. I'm skewed on the fact whether they're fighting for Gaza or Israel's land. I got 1 minute, but Gaza, and I don't know the whole history of Gaza, but they've used Gaza Hamas has taken over Gaza. Good Palestinians were supposed to be at the Gaza, the ones that aren't going to do all that. But the problem is, if they're not Christian, they're going to do this stuff because Islam still hates Christianity. They do. And Christianity is not allowed to disagree with Islam, though, in America because of the Democrats. But we are allowed to, and you need to start doing it. You should be allowed to disagree. And because it's about truth and facts. It's not about phobias and all that kind of stuff. The fact is they have no evidence of a God, and they call themselves a religion. They have no evidence of a God with power to be God. It's life over death. Christ pretty much disqualified every other religion when he rose from the dead. He disqualified, and that's just a factual educational point. It's not even about whether you think he did it. So you can trust God at that point. Once people learn that fact, that it's factual, they would, and that's where the atheists go. They still contest that it's a fairy tale and all that. But we got way too much evidence to prove it, and they're denying all that evidence when they say that. There's way more evidence that it was factual than not, So, I mean, we got genealogy showing the family lineage. We got all that. We got we got the witnesses of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all those people, not just one. That's why they wrote 4 Gospels, to show you, look, we all saw the same thing. And we didn't look at each other's papers how we wrote it. That's why the Gospels vary a little. from a different perspective, but they have the same stories. They were all there when it happened. So I'm smart enough to see that, but it is because I love the biggest evidence of God is that He taught us forgiveness and love your neighbor, and that makes more sense than anything. And we couldn't come up with that on our own. We didn't come up with that. It's me or you. We'll try to work together. You work with me, and I'll work with you. And if you're helping me, you're cool. If you're not helping me, and then you get selfish. If you do have that mentality, if you're not helping me to the level I want, then you're out, buddy. And then it might even be kill. If we didn't have Jesus that taught us forgiveness, redemption, and we go our separate ways if we can't get along, those kind of things. And we learned that from Christ's teaching. So that all makes sense because everybody gets another day. We've grown. We've been able to live together and make rules and stuff to help us get along better and survive. We made money rules to help us all get a piece of the pie. But by balancing things out, we thought of ways to do it without having to do slavery. We came up with the free market system, so it's not as much like slavery. We got paid it. We agree to be a slave for 8 hours a day or whatever, and to try to stick with the job. But it's not like slavery exactly because you get to leave, clock out after those 8 to 10 hours or whatever, and you're free. You're free from the job and on the weekends, and you get paid. You get paid pretty well. But the Democrats keep trying to raise the prices. They keep trying to raise the rent. They keep trying to disqualify people from housing. And then there's some Republicans falling for that based on drug laws and different things. That shouldn't be. It should be that pressure should be on the producers of the drugs. And then you should have better rehabs that don't make people lose their job, and they shouldn't lose their housing. They should go to rehab instead of take somebody's house away. They should go to a forced rehab if it's that bad. Don't take their housing away, even if it's government housing. That's it sounds good to take it away and have this high strict standard, but let's do that to you with your coffee and see how you do. Plus, they don't provide safe medicine, so they got crooks. They're dealing with crooks who they may want to quit drugs, but the dealers keep coming at those people. They surround them and stalk them down and everything else, and you're going to put all the blame on some of those addicts. Come on. That shouldn't. The point is, you could put it, if you do stuff proper and get the laws proper on that, you could put the blame on them and force them into rehab if they're messing up bad enough. But if they're not abusing it and they're using like a medicine, then nobody knows that they're doing anything wrong at that point. So so there's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that won't come up when you say somebody has to be smart and qualified. You don't know this. You don't know any real stories about addicts. A lot of the ones that go into these addict groups, they say all the stuff that sounds good, and people buy it, right? And the point is I'm not saying some of them didn't get clean, but they ignore the dealing factor. They ignored the thief factor. They acted like they were all this addict, but you never hear them talk about the problems, and they're hiding. What are they still protecting the dealers? Are they making? All right, so you quit drugs. Are you finished? But have you rehab from dealing drugs? You have to wonder when they never talk about the theft factor in that culture. That's all there is theft. I mean, that's the problem. That's the bigger problem over the drug issues, over the overdoses and everything else. There's more theft than there are overdoses. So, and that's from the dealing groups. So the overdoses are terrible now. That's why they're talking about going to war, right? So who else are you going to hear this stuff from? They always disqualify real subjects, and it starts with how they've, they can't hear this perspective or that perspective because he's not the smartest person or whatever. Like you can't do that. You can't say everything you want. That 2-minute clip or whatever it is they put you in on the news. And if you're like me, you have a hard time, but you work to put it in 15 seconds. And I do say a lot in 15 seconds. I'm good at that. And then some days I'm good or better than others at this, new at it. But I'll get on a subject, but I haven't mapped it out. I haven't outlined it, and I'll forget my points. But I have to end this now because it won't download if I don't. It probably won't, possibly won't. And I think I made plenty of points on the subject. If not, if I see something later, I'll do a part 2, and it should be shorter because I've touched almost every point here. But we need to get real, man. Get real, and we need to listen to everybody. I listen to my enemies. I get tips from my enemies. I get them from everywhere. I've talked to many Islamic people in my life and atheists and got along halfway. It was easier to get along with atheists. The Islamic people would threaten me usually. I'll say at least 50% of the time. And that was black Islamic people now that would threaten me. I haven't really talked to many Arab Islamic people. So they're harder to approach, and they're usually rich and successful, right? Or doing well. So I've come from not a rich person, so I've socialized with people that I've known, basically. And so in my bracket, my socioeconomic bracket. Now I've socialized with some well-off people too, but that's different, connected through jobs or a doctor or whatever, and then some family, past family friends, but not had many deep conversations with them. It's more like cordial stuff. So there's a problem. That's another subject. I'll go into the successful. I'm going to do a video about successful people that seem like everything's good. They're following all the rules, but they have a mean heart. That happens in that society. So, but anyhow, I do it this way because I got a lot of content. That's what my other point. I have more content, more subject matter than anybody I've ever seen. I do. I wish I could remember it better, but I'm doing pretty good. Because I don't even have time to outline it because I have so many to catch up on and share. Now, I've practiced it a long time as far as studying and writing, but I've spent 20 years or so. I've really studied these subject matters. So I'm still finding pieces of the puzzle that coming together from other stuff I learned. And I'm always learning something new that we overlooked, or how to emphasize something better, or seeing stuff I had already studied more clearly. So it's good talking, and I hope this helps in some way. Thank you. God bless and rise with.